sometimes it's good to get away and just have a nice vacation, right?
I'm on fucking vacation!
Right. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Always happy to see you guys here, and welcome to my review of Nobody 2. This is something that I'm kind of surprised happened at all, with the first one being released when it was, which was when COVID was still big and everybody was doing date releases, which means movies were streaming at the same time of its theatrical release. So the first Nobody hardly made anything off of a shoestring budget, but still hardly made anything. And I didn't think there was a strong enough case to make a second one, but yet here we are. So let's talk about Nobody 2. So basically what you have here is Hutch Mancell, who returns from that first film, played by Bob Odenkirk, who takes his family on vacation. And after a conflict breaks out, he is forced to come face to face with corruption and this criminal mastermind on which he has to take down in order to protect his family. So, again, I wasn't quite sure if there was a big enough demand for this, because when the first one came out, it was at a pivotal time, and hardly nobody was going to theaters like at all. It was very shortly after theaters actually reopened. And they were doing that date release streaming the same time that they were theatrically releasing movies. And unfortunately, I think the first film was one of them. The first Nobody was one of them. So it hardly made any money. So I'm kind of surprised that we're even talking about this. But I'm not complaining. Believe me, I'm not complaining. After watching this one, it was actually quite good. It does veer off into a kind of a different direction, which I'm already starting to hear people kind of complain about that, but hey, movies and art are subjective and you can't please everybody. But this cat, you can definitely please very easily. That being said, let's start off with the positives for Nobody 2. This is exactly what I expected this film to be. A dumb, fun action extravaganza that will surely have you on the edge of your seat. It's very gritty, very spot on, and just a great excuse for you to turn your brain off and just enjoy the carnage. It's what I very much wanted and expected and was hoping this film to be. The action, and I don't want to overhype this because there's been other action films that triumphed, but for what this film was, for what this film is, the action was pretty much out of this world. For what this world is. There's nothing held back. Like with that original film, it was nail-bitingly heart-pounding. Edge of your seat, plenty of carnage, there was plenty of explosions, there's plenty of fighting scenes, especially with Bob Odenkirk, who was awesome in this, which I'll get into here in a second. Very exciting to where you have this film that shows plenty of carnage candy and plenty of exploding bodies, and believe me, I'm not giving anything away, because if you've already seen the first one, and you know the type of world this is, which is basically an old man John Wick, that's basically what you're going to get. Especially if you've seen the trailers, that's basically what you're going to get. That's just common sense. It's basically an old man John Wick. So if you hear that term, that basically says it all. And that's exactly what you get here. Very satisfying. Of course it worked for me. Come on. I mean, to say that it didn't work for me, a lot of y'all would be thinking, who are you and what have you done with our YouTuber? And speaking of Bob Odenkirk, he delivers. He especially delivers here, just like with that original film. He delivers upon delivering here. He goes above and beyond here. The guy knows how to kick ass and take names, which I know back when the first one came out, there's been this rumor to where this could be John Wick's father, long lost father or something. I don't know if that's what they're planning on. I don't think it is, but it would definitely make sense. Because, again, like I mentioned earlier, this is basically an old man John Wick. This is basically closer to John Wick than any of the other comparisons that's been made out there. But like with the first film, he's very visceral, very hardcore. He's somebody you definitely wouldn't want to mess with. That's for sure. But he absolutely nailed it. And it was shocking after learning about his heart attack a few years back. Very shortly after he started filming the first one, actually. He had a very small heart attack. He's got like a stent in his heart now. Or he had a major operation. And for him to be able to do something like this, still, much respect. Much respect. I mean, he basically raised hell in this. Kind of like how he did in the first one, but I think he amped it up a little bit in this one. And I know some people has kind of gone against this. They've kind of spoke up against this, that they didn't really like this part of this. But I did like the whole family angle to where you have this family man who goes on this vacation and he brings the whole entire family with him. And then he runs into all this corruptness and these mob bosses and crime lords. I did like the fact that he brings his family along, and it kind of creates that extra stake that a film like this needs. I actually did enjoy that. I actually did enjoy the fact that this film kind of focuses on more of a family-eccentric side of things, which I know a lot of fans hardcore fans of the first film doesn't really care for that, and I get it. But I actually think it added the stakes. It added more oomph to it, and it added more of a reason about what this guy is doing, and really want him to succeed at what this guy is doing, at what Bob Odenkirk is doing. I mean, for his character alone, I just think the whole family dynamic gives more of a reason for this character to do what he does, especially by the third act, and I really did appreciate that. This really showcased how good of an actor Bob Odenkirk is. I just recently started that show, Better Call Saul. I knew about it, I've just never seen it. I only made it up to the third episode, but it's not bad so far. But as far as Nobody 2, he really nailed it. He really killed it, literally. One gripe I had about that first film was the fact that you don't get much Christopher Lloyd, but Doc Brown fans rejoice. You do get a lot more of him in it. He does showcase a lot more of what he can do, especially at his age. And it was pretty cool seeing him in a more capacity. He has more screen time. He has more time to share the screen with everybody instead of just one or two scenes popped up here and there like the first film did. He has a lot more screen time in this, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I was hoping for that because he really stood out to me in that first film. As soon as I saw the trailers come out for this, I was hoping for more because it showed him in the trailer, so I knew he was going to be in it. So I was hoping for more screen time of him, and they delivered upon that as well. I love how it showcased Hutch, Bob Odenkirk's character, and his wife difficulties. And to me, again, it just added to the whole family dynamic of giving him more of a humanized point of view than what the first one did. It just humanizes him more, and I really did appreciate that. It just gave him more of that humanized feel. It just made him more human and gave him more of a stance for what his character is doing, especially like all the problems that him and his wife is having, and with his family being along with all this chaos. Again, I just think it added to the stakes of what this film was doing. And I think it's just something that a film like this needed. I mean, with the problems between him and his wife and with his kids and being mixed up with all this craziness. Again, it just amplified my experience from a character standpoint. And I really did enjoy that. For me personally, some people don't really care for that, but for me, I really did enjoy that. It just gave the film more of a character study standpoint than anything else, while throwing in a lot of action. Again, this holds nothing back. It does have plenty of that, just like in the first film, only amplified, but it throws in that character development piece of it, which I think a film like this always needs, and that's always deeply appreciated. Moving on to my mixed, the villain played by Sharon Stone, I thought she was pretty decent. I thought she definitely had her villainous moments, her evil moments. The woman knows how to play evil. The only other thing, I've never seen Basic Instinct, but I have seen the original Total Recall, which I know has been years and years ago. She was a bad guy in that too. Nobody too showcases how much of a good villain she can play. How much of an understanding this woman has of playing evil. There's some definite eyebrow raising moments, especially when it comes to her character. She really does know how to make you hate her. However, there was a side of her that could have been better. There was some moments to where it didn't quite work for me. Kind of like the villain in the first film, only Sharon Stone's character for the villain is on a higher bar than that villain in the first film. But she didn't really quite fully engage me. There was some moments to where she felt a little bit too on the nose for my taste. Again, like the villain in the first film, she does certain things in this that just kind of felt a little awkward. It kind of took me out of her character just a little bit. But unlike that villain from the first film, I think Sharon Stone wins me over just a little bit more in this. Because again, she knew how to play evil. She definitely showed her crazy side, kind of like an older Harley Quinn, if you want to compare it to that. And I know that's probably going to be a weird comparison, but still, she wins me over a little bit more than what the villain in the first film did. She shows more of a vicious side, more of a homicidal side to her, more of a crazier side to her than what that villain in the first film did. Not perfect, but still stood out more to me. Not perfect, but a step up. As far as the comedic relief, the comedic tone of this film, I didn't really mind it. There are certain jokes that worked for me. There are certain things that happened that got me giggling pretty hard, actually. But I felt like there was other moments to where they were leaning way too much into it, to where it kind of overplayed its hand, to where there were certain scenes, especially on a boat, which got to me, but I felt like there were certain steps they could have took to kind of tone that down a little bit. Again, the comedic relief, it didn't really bother me, but I just felt like they leaned a little bit too much into it, which I felt like they could have toned that down just a little bit. It felt like it was kind of amplified a little bit here when it really didn't need to be. It just came off as awkward when you're wanting it to be serious. But other than that, it was fine. It was fine. Like I said, I got some giggles out of me, that's for sure. But I just felt like they could have toned it down just a little bit. Moving on to the negatives, and I only have one, and it's very small, and it's at a very low end. But I couldn't help but notice that they kind of imitated a little bit too much of what the first film, a couple of things that they did in that first film that I wish they could have done a little differently here. To where you have the first film that's established a certain way, and I get why they may have wanted to do that again here, but I felt like it was a little bit too much of an imitation. Now again, this is at a very low end, and I might change my tune later on once I see it again, because believe me, I will see it again. This is just a me thing, but I just wish they could have kind of done it differently. I can't really tell you what it is, but for those of you who watched that first film, know what I'm talking about, but it happens at the first act and the last act. That's all I'll say. But I wish they could have done that a little differently. I wish they could have changed it up just a little bit, just to add an extra different flavor to it. Again, I understand why they did it, because they wanted to keep it at the tone as the first film was, but I just felt like they could have done it a little bit differently here. And I just felt like it was a wash, rinse, and repeat. Again, this is a me thing, and I might change my mind once I see it again, because this film was freaking awesome. But I just felt like they could have done that a little bit differently. I had a blast with this one, guys. I know not everybody would be satisfied, which is fine. Film is subjective. But I definitely had a blast with this. I had major fun with this. And it's just something that I would definitely recommend. I mean, why wouldn't I? Despite my flaws I had with this, I had a blast. I had a ball, and it's definitely something you should own. So Nobody 2, what was your thoughts on this? Have you got a chance to go out and see it yet? I know this is only the first weekend that has been released. But for those of you who have, what was your thoughts on this? Were you somebody that actually enjoyed where this went? Are you somebody that enjoyed this one more than that first film? Or are you mixed on it? Or you not know how you feel about it? Or are you somebody that just doesn't care about this one at all and just wants to stick with that first film completely? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for clicking here and watching this. As always, I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon, set it to all if you like what you see. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.